Hey everyone, Brian Pacman here with another Adobe Lightroom walkthrough tutorial. Today, we're going to be going over a recent graduation session that I captured. We're going to go over some post-processing using Adobe Lightroom Classic, as well as some practical shooting tips that help me capture these images. Let's get started. Alright, so we got our Adobe Lightroom here, and I like to go full screen. There we go. And first thing we're going to do is, let's go ahead and skim through these really quick. These are all straight out of camera. They actually look pretty good. So what I'm going to do here is go to my develop module, and I'm going to pick one of these, and first thing I do is see if any of these presets that I have works well with these images. I actually think today I'm not going to be using any presets because these look really good straight out of camera already. I don't think we're going to have to do too much adjustment on these images, but we'll go ahead and start culling and editing them. So we'll minimize that. All right, so here we go. This is a test shot, a little overexposed here. She's not looking at the camera, and they know that, so it's not a deliberate photo. I usually take 1 to 2, 3 shots to dial in my lighting. In this case, I can see the changes here. So we'll take this one out. We'll take this one out. This one's good. Overall, these images came out pretty good. There's not going to be too much adjustment on them, so I think we might be able to get through these pretty quickly. All right, first image here. This is going to be my baseline for this spot. As you know, when I edit my images in Lightroom, I like to batch edit, meaning you could edit one of these images in the series, and then you could subsequently copy those settings and then paste them along, or you could select the whole bunch and make changes across all of the images at the same time. In this case, we're gonna pick, I'll probably pick this one here. And the first thing I'm going to do is check my white balance. White balance and skin tones is very important when you're capturing portraits. Now, we have our little slider here, and just by going a little bit cooler, I actually think it matches the skin tone a little bit better. And we can even see here, just like slightly orange there. That looks a little bit more true to skin tone. And then we'll go ahead and adjust our tint here to see if we need to play with that. That looks pretty good. So pretty much the tint stays the same from what I had in camera, and we're at about 5,000 degrees Kelvin there. That looks pretty good. All right. Then we're gonna go to our exposure slider, and this exposure is pretty spot on. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to contrast. Here you can see it change. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it on 0 for now. Highlights, I think the rocks here and this background, we do have some white. So what I'm going to do is move that highlight slider down, and then you can see the background and the rocks change when I move that slider. So I can zoom out. We could look at what it looks like if you push that highlight slider up, and then you can see what it looks like when you pull it down. So in this case, I think pulling it down just a little bit achieves what I want, which is not to have too much of the rocks here blown out. And then shadows. So shadows, because I'm using fill flash, we don't need to bring shadows up too much. Only if you want to have some more details maybe in the background or some of the darker areas. But overall, I actually think we don't have to really mess with that too much. And then the whites. And then whites is very similar to highlights, but you'll see it actually affects a bit more of the white pixels in the images compared to the highlights. In this case, I actually think we could go down just a little bit there. And then blacks. The reason why I left the contrast at 0 is because when I change the shadows and I change the blacks, it also changes some of the contrast too. And you could tell right here how it does that. In this case, we could even bring the blacks down a little bit, and we could bring the contrast down to see if that evens out. That's not too bad. It's a little flat for me. I'll bring the black down a little bit more. Let's do a before and after comparison. So the tone, the white balance looks a lot better. As far as the highlights, they're definitely a lot lower. But the shadow, there's a little bit of more, I think, shadow increase than what I want for the jacket. So what I'm actually going to do, bring the shadows down just a little bit there. That looks pretty good. I see that pie right there on the floor. Let's zap that out. Zoop. And then we'll remove. If you don't know how to remove objects, you just use the little tool right here, or you can use Q for shortcut. And there you see we got rid of that little pie cone there. But overall, this is what I'm looking for. So now I'm going to select the other images that were taken in the same location or with similar lighting. In this case, we just have these 6 right here. So I'm going to hit Shift Command S to sync, because we don't want to sync the mask, but I do want to sync everything else that we have. In this case here, let's just go ahead and check all. We'll undo the masking so we don't... oh wait, my bad, not masking. We did a removal right here. Let's try that. Okay, synchronize. There we go. This way we don't get that same object removal in all the images, because these are different. In this case, we'll just go ahead and remove them individually here really quick. And this is one way to remove objects. I'll just show you a second way right here, just so you know. So you have a AI removal tool, eraser tool, if you see. We also have a healing tool, and we have a stamp tool. The healing tool is pretty good too. Bam. And you see, you kind of pick which area that you would like to use. In this case here, I'll go on this side. There, you'll never know it's there now. Okay. So we'll go ahead and start here, and look at that. Just being able to edit one image, I'm able to sync it across these 6 images. Now, the other thing I like to do is make sure I set my plus and minus keys to whatever slider that I use the most. In this case, it's exposure. I use that the most. I could then use my keystrokes to adjust like that. I don't have to touch the slider. I can bring these up a little bit. That looks pretty good. And then we're gonna go ahead and select all of them right now, and we're gonna create a mask. We're gonna use the pupil detection mask. Bam! Lightroom just detected her. It's so good now. Look at that. We created our mask. Now I'm just gonna do my softened skin preset right there. And then as you can see, the before and after. So that softened skin preset, it's nice because it doesn't make the person look fake. I do want the people to look like themselves. I don't want them to look like a plastic Barbie doll, but in this case, that preset evened it out perfectly. You can see here, these highlights, things like that, the shininess, it's a lot smoother now, just by using the simple preset. And we did it with 6 images at one time. Okay. So those look great. Those look good. Now, I really like the adjustments that I used on these images. So I'm gonna go ahead and select this image here, because it doesn't have the healing tool or the eraser tool on there. I'm then gonna select this next one here, and then I'm just gonna paste those settings. And when I pasted those settings, it carried everything over, including the mask, because I want the mask, you can see right there, the mask is there, but I didn't want to have that healing tool take effect. In this case, that looks pretty good. Again, I'm just checking for skin tones here. Her face is probably a little bit darker than what I would want in comparison to the overall image. Because if you look, her dress is white, the rocks are very light colored, and it's naturally, when we look at images or paintings or pictures, our eyes are drawn to the lightest part of the image. So one thing that we could do here to make it look better, we could go ahead and create another mask here. I'm just gonna go ahead and make a brush. I'm gonna shrink that brush down. And then instead of using the skin softening, I'm gonna zero it out. So all these settings are 0. And we'll just do, well, a little increase here. There we go. There. Now her face isn't as dark. So that looks pretty good to me. And I like the white balance. I like everything else that's going on here. Let's go ahead and double check the sliders in the adjustment here. Yeah, that's fine. I think that looks great. So what I'm gonna do is, because of this one location, we took several photos. I'm gonna select all of them just like that by holding Shift. You could also make sure that the auto sync is enabled here. And then what I'm gonna do is do my Shift Command S again. And I don't want the second mask to carry over. So we're gonna uncheck that. We only want the first mask, which is the mask that we use for the skin. Everything else here is fine. We didn't do any object removals, so that could be selected or not. It doesn't matter. So we'll synchronize. And you can see it's doing its thing. I'm gonna go ahead and Command D to deselect. While those are working, I could look at these ones here. Same thing here, a little dark. So just with my shortcuts using my keystrokes, because I had already set my keystroke for plus and minus for exposure, I could just bring it up just a little bit like that. Even this one, go one up there, go, that one's pretty good there. Go one up, a little up there, there, awesome, great. Oh yeah, I had to reshoot it, I had a car go by in the background. So as I'm taking these photos, I'm using a pretty simple setup here. I'm using two 80-200 Pros, whether you're using Godox or Flashpoint, they both are the same thing. And I'm using some flash disc diffusers. Really nice, soft, even lighting. Not really going for any ratios or anything crazy, just something clean and presentable. We're gonna go ahead and check our mask, make sure the skin tones are selected. Right there, yep, looks good. These came out great, awesome. So now, going to our next set. This one, I could darken it just a tad, there we go. That looks a lot better. There, here's our next one. So here, straight out of camera, same thing. I like this one here. We're gonna select that one there. We're gonna synchronize the settings. I'm just gonna go ahead and remove, well actually I don't need to remove anything, let's just synchronize it. There we go. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so we look at the before and after. Skin tone here looks much better than here. And overall the exposure looks okay. So I'm gonna use my shortcut. I could go down a little bit because the dress is white. So that's going to be obviously a little bit overexposed. It's not too bad. All right, I'll show you a neat thing that you could do too. Let's go ahead and take the comparison off, and then let's create another mask. We're going to let it select people, and in this case, clothes. Look at that. So we have not only automatic mask detection for facial, skin, body skin, eyebrows, lips, whatever, but clothes. And like I said, she's wearing white. It's very easy to overexpose white, especially if you're using fill flash or any type of flash photography. So I'm just gonna select clothes for the mask and create that mask. Whereas before, she's wearing a black jacket, so it's hiding most of the dress, so there's not too much white overpowering the images. And you can even see here in the histogram, if my face isn't covering it, that there's more darks here, and there's much more white tones on this one here. All right, so here's our mask for the dress, and right now it's on the plus exposure a little bit, so we'll double tap our preset here to zero it out. And because it's white, if you slide the exposure down, see how it turns really muddy and gray? We actually don't want that. The best thing to do is either to choose highlights or white. And even white, you see how it turns kind of gray? I don't like that look. So typically, like a white wedding dress, let's say the white balance is off or it's blown out. Use this tool, make the mask, and then you could just use the highlights to just bring it down just a little bit. Awesome, that looks a lot better already. And we can even do a comparison. There we go, and that dress is no longer overexposed like we had over here. And the whole scene as a whole just looks a lot better. I actually really like this, and I'm gonna, instead of synchronizing it, I'm gonna paste it. So instead of keeping the first image and then hitting shift and then selecting them all like that, if you wanna just paste the settings, you could just click onto the next one and then Option Command V, and then it's gonna do its thing. Bam, it applied it exactly to this image the same way. A little overexposed, so we'll use the keystroke shortcuts there just to bring it down a little bit, and that looks good. So then I'm going to select the rest in the series here, and we'll take those blurry ones out. But here, go ahead and paste again. We'll let Lightroom do its thing. While it's doing that, here's some blurry ones, and I'm going to hit X to reject them because they're blurry. Why would they want blurry images? Okay. All right. So here's this one. Oh, look at that lighting change. So what happened here, which I do it all the time. When I go from one scene to the next scene, you're not always going to be using the same flash settings, the same camera settings. So what happened here? These two were my test shots. That's why they're slightly different exposure. And then when I sync those same identical settings, or pasted them to these ones, see how these are darker? It's because I was still making my adjustments. In this case, just able to use the little shortcuts here and even it out. It's that easy. There, now they all look a lot more even. So even though the first two were test shots, they're still acceptable. And it looks great. We got nice bokeh in the background. I'm using an 85. I'm shooting at 1.8. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm just going through them, evening them out. Now we have the remaining images here, the close-ups. These ones, again, they're just a little dark, so we're going to use the exposure shortcuts here. That looks a lot better already. Here, maybe that one's slightly overexposed because she leaned towards the light. You can see how her face catches it a bit more. That one doesn't as much. And that one's pretty good. Nice. Okay. Ladybug. This ladybug flew in somewhere and she wanted a photo with it. And then it flew in her dress. So we thought that was kind of a funny image. In this case, I'm going to just make a brush here really quick to tone down the dress because it's very overexposed and I don't want it to get too muddy or gray. So I'm just going to select my brush here. I'll go highlights down a little bit, and then I'll just around there where that hot spot was. See? Just select. And the feather was a bit too small there. There we go. Now we can see the ladybug a little bit more. Just for fun, let's go ahead and make a duplicate of it, and we're gonna crop in just so we could have a crop version too. Let me see if that looks any better. I don't know. It's kind of red there, red there. It's very small in perspective, but it's fine. These ones look good. We're gonna go ahead and double check. And nope, I do not have my skin mask. So let's go ahead and select these ones where we can see her well. Does this one have it? Nope, only has a dress mask. So in this case, we only have one mask right now, and that is for the dress. So let's go ahead and create another mask here. Select people. Here's our person. Then we're gonna go ahead and put facial skin, body skin, create mask. Got my little skin softening preset. This one's for extreme conditions, the skin softening. For a graduation shoot, younger people, you don't really need to use anything too heavy. So soft skin light is what I'm using, and then it's done. So now I could go back in here, do comparison. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Cleans it up, looks a little bit smoother. Shiny spots are not as harsh. Great, looks great. Okay, let's go to this next one. That looks good. Here's that cropped version. Here's the ladybug is on her finger. Let's go ahead and just copy these settings over here. Yeah, that looks better. Oh, I think I had one with her. Yep, this one. I shouldn't have removed that. So I'm going to unpick by hitting U. And then paste those settings over. And then I'll go ahead and change my filter back again. There we go. Yeah, because this one, you can actually see the ladybug like right there. So we'll do that. I'm gonna crop it a little bit. Just want to center it. Just to change the scale. Helps a little bit. Okay, now let's go ahead and go to our next series. So we have her by this tree now. Test shot here, you can see it's dark, so we'll get rid of it. Test shot. But she was kind of quirky. I think she might like the funny one. So we'll keep this one. Same thing. I'm just going to select this one, go to this one, and then paste over those settings. And you can see here, it even carried over the highlight control for the dress. It carried over the skin tone adjustment. That's good. And using my shortcut keys, I could just slide exposure just like that. And then I'll select these ones. I'm going to paste the settings over, and they should be relatively close. And if they're not, just I could go like that and make very quick, small adjustments. And she is under a tree. I could tell that her skin tone slightly changed from comparison of, let's say, over here. So in this case, it looks a little bit yellow to me. So we're gonna select that skin tone mask, and then let's just bring it down a little bit, like that. Great, looks awesome. This one was just a quirky one. I don't know, she was like picking up some stuff from the floor. So this one, I'll probably do a preset. Let's see, a weird one. Yeah, like that one's cool. And then I'm just gonna darken it, and let's just do slight white balance adjustment there. Yeah, that looks cool. And we'll apply it to this one too. Too dark. There you go. Okay, here's the next series. She wanted different facial expressions one. So here's a whole series of different facial expressions. We just need to pick one. So I'm gonna pick this one here as the baseline. We're gonna edit this image, and then we're just gonna copy and paste it to the rest of them here. Oh, you know what? Here, let's do this just so you can see. So I'm gonna select 7 images here, and you see this auto sync, and this is why I say, if this auto sync is off, and I'm only selected on, even though I highlighted all of these images, the main image that I'm selected on, like that, the changes will only apply to that one image. Now, if you turn this auto sync on, it applies to the whole selection. So this is important to know. In this case, let's start here with the white balance. Let's get the skin tone right. Then we'll get the exposure, contrast, bring the highlights down a little bit. She has her jacket back on. We don't have to worry about the dress too much. You can see the highlight slider did bring down the tones a little bit. Shadows, we're actually pretty good there. The whites, not too much. And the blacks, they're pretty good there. So we were able to edit several images at the same time with auto sync, and that's really important to have a fast workflow. I'm going to look at the images again, just make small adjustments here. Let's see. I think I want a little bit more contrast actually, because they're a little flat, like they're too evenly exposed. especially since I'm using the fill light. In this case, let's bring up the contrast, and then we'll bring up the shadows, and then we can bring up the blacks. Let's see. Yeah, that's a bit better. And then again, we're gonna do another mask. In this case, detect the person. Same thing, facial, body, skin, create mask, and we're gonna select, or it's already there. Your Lightroom will typically use the last settings that you last used the tool on. In this case, the last time I used the mask tool, it was on the softened skin, so it automatically applied. Skim through these. Awesome. Looks great. You can compare. Looks a lot cleaner. Awesome. Okay. Next one. These are just using natural lighting. It's the kind of cliche typical walk with the graduation gown over your shoulder. These are really cool. And because it's a nice cloudy overcast day, the lighting's pretty even across the board here. So I'm going to select all the ones first with her back turn, and we could go ahead and make sure auto sync is enabled. We're going to edit all of these images at the same time because I know if I edit this one, it's going to look the same as this one. It doesn't really matter. In this case, here, I kind of like one of these ones. Yeah. All right. We go to our sliding tools here, slider tools, basic tools, and the white balance, I'm not quite sure yet, but they're a little dark, so I bumped up exposure a little bit. We can bump up a little contrast. We could bring the highlights down. The shadows could go up a little bit. Whites could go down just a little bit. Blacks down just a little bit. Very subtle changes. And now that I can see the white balance better, I can just adjust here slightly. Yeah, that looks great. Awesome. Okay. Nice. So here's the first one, a little dark, and then the next ones look good. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and apply it to the ones of her walking towards the camera. I did a quick little lower exposure there because now we're seeing more of the light color. Now we can see that looks a lot better. I'm gonna go ahead and select all these ones of her walking forward. Bam, and then I'm just gonna paste those settings over. Let's see what happens. Yeah, the natural lighting is not too bad. I am shooting at 1.8. There's a little bit of vignetting. So what we could do here, let's select this one from the series as well. Let's go to our lens corrections, and we have vignetting adjustment. We don't want to add more vignetting. Please don't add vignetting to your photos. It doesn't look good. But we're gonna get rid of this vignetting a little bit just by bumping this up a little bit, and then this midpoint, maybe about there. All right, let's see. Yeah, those look better. So I'm gonna deselect. Let's select these close-up ones because I think they could use a little bit of adjustment like that. Nice. All right. Maybe some of these ones too, a little bit brighter. I like that one. That's a good one. Cool. Too bright. And as you can see, I don't spend a lot of time looking at each individual image. What I really need to know is how are the whole set of images in this one location with these settings and this lighting, how do they need to be edited? I don't think about just one photo. After you edit them in bulk, then you could go through and be like, okay, I like this one a lot. And then you can spend more time removing stuff and editing stuff. But overall, you don't have to spend too long on each image. Yeah, these are good. Okay, now, so we have a new scene. The white balance here, look how different it is compared to what we had before. And even compared to what we had in the beginning, it's pretty different. And we could just do a test here. Let's grab, okay, so I selected this image if you scroll and click on this one, you see this previous button here? Previous is also pasting the last image that you had selected. And as you can see here, I'll hit previous, bam. Those adjustments that I had made on that last image that I was selected on or highlighted on apply to this image. Now we have a different lighting scene, so I'm going to adjust the white balance here. Just a little bit, there we go. And I think it could use more contrast. Bring the highlights down a little bit more because there's a lot of white here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, because of the overcast and she's standing under a tree, and there's a lot of light colors right here, I can't help but tell that her face is slightly darker on the overall image. So we're gonna go ahead and just apply these baseline settings first to the full body shots. As soon as that's done. Okay, now I selected all of these full body shots. They're almost the same. Her head's in almost the same position for all of them. So what I could do here is then just create a simple brush mask and roughly lighten up this area here so that her face doesn't look so dark. Because we already have the mask for the dress, and then we already have another mask for that skin softening. So in this case, let's go ahead and zero out our brush, and we're gonna just bring up exposure a little bit, very little, like that. And then now, because we're on auto sync, see how it applies to all of the images, and now her face doesn't look so dark compared to the rest of the image. Now if you really want to, because this is under a tree, I think I'm possibly using natural lighting. We could make another mask here for background. So let's select background. Let's see if we could tone the background down just a little bit. There it goes. All right, so now the mask is created for the background. If we want, we could zero it all out. Yeah, there we go. So you see the background selected. Let's just bring the highlights down. And then let's just bring the whites down. That's actually not too bad. Yeah, it ain't too bad. All right, let's go back to our basic adjustment sliders here. So I think the contrast might be too much, but we could bring exposure up a little bit. Bring these highlights down a little bit more. Add a little bit of contrast. Oh yeah, that looks great. So now, look at that before and after. Much better skin tones, background toned down, not as distracting, and you know, we want our attention to be on the subject, not looking at these lighter parts in the back. So for me, these ones are done. Now, these next ones here are the half body shots of the same exact scene, same exact lighting. So I'm just gonna select this one here, select the next one, and now I'm just gonna paste the settings. Or if you don't know how to paste them over, it's Option Command V, or you just hit previous. And look at that, that looks much better already. So now I'm gonna, here, let me take out this preview, the before and after preview, and yeah. I'm gonna sync all of these across now. Bam. Okay, 15 images. Now all those 15 images are gonna have the same setting as this one. Much better already. Let's go ahead and check the mask here. We got a mask for that. That mask carried over. The background mask carried over. We don't need this mask to carry over because this mask was specifically just for her face here. So we're gonna select all of these here. And we have a few more here. So let's wait for these to finish processing. I don't know, might have to keep it, we'll see. So that's done. I'm gonna take that mask out, and yeah, those look good without it. We don't need that little mask. Perfect. Awesome. Here's before and after. Big difference already. Right, this is another natural lighting one. Let's go ahead and see if we could paste these settings over. All right, nice. The skin tone, this is a little bit more blue than what I want. She's under the tree here. The ground has like these wood chips, so it's a little bit warmer tone. But because of her being elevated, now and she's also in this overcast lighting, that warmness kind of went away. So we're just reintroducing back a little bit of warmth into the picture. That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and paste it over to this next one and see how that looks now. That's not too bad. I kind of don't like the background though. It's too much. It mutes it a little bit much there. So let's apply this one now back to the first one, which is our test shot. I'm just gonna keep it because it's kind of quirky, and I like that. It looks good. Let's see, got the clothes selected and we have the skin tone selected. That's fine with me. So we're gonna go ahead and select the rest of the images in that series, and you could just hit your Option Command V, previous. There it goes. Let's see how they look. Not bad. Double check the vignetting here. And where's that lens correction? Let's take some of the vignetting out. That. Awesome. Cool. Here, we could crop this one. It's a little uneven. There, that's better. Center it up a little bit. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, those are done. Let's go on to the next one. Here's my test shot. Another test shot, and then we got to this shot. I think I could batch out of these, and I'm going to go ahead and select the whole bunch right here because they're all the same lighting, essentially. Oh, look right there. You can see the lighting change. So here, I did my 3 shots to do my test shots, and then once I dialed it in, I was able to continue on with the rest of the photo. So in this case, I'm just going to select these 2. I know I'm using the fill flash here, so what I'm going to do is go back to the beginning where I had a similar lighting. I'll select this one here, I'll scroll all the way to this next location, and I'm going to paste it over and see how it looks now. This way, I'm not having to start from scratch every single time I am in a different lighting scenario or scene. Yeah, that's not too bad. And then we could check the mask, and then let's go ahead and do one for the clothes here because it is a bit overexposed. Clothes, create mask, and let's zero that out, and then let's bring the highlights down on the clothes. That looks a lot better already. And then we'll go ahead and paste it to this next image here. Make sure it looks consistent. That looks good. Let's try it on this next one. It's probably going to be pretty good. Yeah, a little dark because these ones were darker. There, awesome. Those look good. I'm going to go ahead and just select all of them here because she's sitting on the same rock, same position, same lighting. And then I'm going to apply those to the next 30 images. Now, see how much time I'm able to save by just editing a few images here, analyzing the lighting, analyzing and remembering the situation that you're in. I'm able to just do these remaining 30 a lot quicker. Now, as those are going, I can just double check and make sure they look good. These look great. Even exposure, skin softening is selected, clothes is turned down on the highlights there. We'll go to the half body ones, and I think those look good too. So let's see. Yeah, go up a little bit there. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. So you can see that there's a lot of advantages in saving time with editing in Lightroom if you know how to use all of these tools correctly. That one's soft. Oh no, it's good. Yeah, these came out great. 85 is one of my favorite lenses to shoot portraits with, especially graduations. That focus is off. There we go, that one's focused. Good, good, good. More faces. Good. Awesome. The whole series here looks great. Again, 30 images just by syncing them, by editing a few. Happy with all of those. Okay, we got another under the tree one. Guess what? We already edited some photos of her under a tree, so I could just select one of these, go to one of these ones, and then just paste it. And we should see some similar changes there. Okay, let's bump up the exposure a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that looks a lot better. I'm gonna be a little bit nitpicky here in a second, but let's go ahead and just sync the remaining of these so they at least have the same basic slider adjustments. And overexposed right there. Oh, these are all overexposed. So this first one here was my test shot, you've seen. Then these ones were overexposed because I used a bit more fill lighting on there. That one I get rid of, the eyes are closed. So this is, I like this tone here. So we'll paste it to this next one. Oh, it's going, it's thinking. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's take the compare off, before and after off. Yeah. Just quickly do exposure adjustments. Not in focus there, we'll have to remove it. Oh, in focus there is good. And all these ones are slightly overexposed, so I'm gonna just select these three that I can see that look the same as far as being overexposed. There we go. Nice, okay. Now these ones look good, and it's actually something I did notice at the shoot. This first one here, I remember thinking to myself, oh, my flash is actually pointing at the tree a bit too much, and it's filling in light here on the tree. So what we could do is just create a brush. Let's zero out all the sliders here. We'll bring the exposure down a little bit, and then we could brush that just so it's not as distracting. And we create another brush there. Now the tree is toned down, looks a little bit better. Same thing here, we could do it again. Create that brush, tone it down just a little bit. Nice. And let's see this next one, a little bit closer. And this next one here, you see the tree is brighter. Great, these are also nice clean series. Okay, here's test shot, get rid of it, test shot, test shot, test shot, test shot. Okay, there we go. So here's the real image. I think that's gonna be closest to maybe one of these beginning images. So I'm gonna select one of the beginning ones, go back to this one, and then paste that setting over. And that does look a lot better. Yeah, looks great. Let's go ahead and just select the close. Close, create mask, and then instead of having exposure slid down, we're just going to do highlights, and we're going to apply it to these remaining two. Bam, look, you see the details come up in the stole there. Nice, that's it. About 160 images out of 180 edited. It's pretty quick. One thing I like to do is start back from the beginning, and I could do some creative edits or more detailed edits after reviewing them once more. So I'm gonna look at these and let's see, this laughing one, let's make a digital copy or a virtual copy, and let's do a black and white. Let's try this black and white preset. I like play around with it. Let me see. Nah. No, I like this one and convert it to black and white. And then what we could do here, we would go to our black and white tab. You see these color adjustments. You could do a lot of stuff with that. So in this case, let's darken that background there. The green and the trees. Nice. That looks good. I like that one as a black and white. Let's look for some more that could be black and white. Like laughing emotion. These are always good ones to make monochrome images with. There. That looks good. I like these ones for black and white. Same thing, but just adjusting a little bit. This one, let's try black and white. Awesome. Go through here. Let's see. Yeah, I like these looking away ones here. We'll do both of these at the same time. And I'm just using V keyboard shortcut to turn it black and white. So anytime you're on the image and you hit V, see how it goes black and white? Oh, these two look great. Black and white. There. Black and white. These ones are okay as they are. I think these walking ones make good black and white photos. I like that one. Let's see. This one too. Black and white. Maybe some of her walking forward. I kind of like that one. And then let's see. Yeah, laughing one. Black and white. Okay. Yeah, looking away, black and white. Okay. Going through. Here's some more looking away. Yeah, looking away, mindful, thinking, looking, pondering. Awesome. That came out great, how the tones came out there. Let's see. Do this one. This one will look good too. And we're almost there. These kind of funny ones. This would be kind of cool as a black and white too. Let's see. That one. Gonna crop it a little bit. Center. Okay. Another laughing one. Laughing, crying. Make it black and white. So far, I think we're almost there. Great, 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 great. We're done. That's it. These all look good. We're going to export. Let's see. Let's put edits. And then make sure to choose the right folder. Grad pics, choose. And then just name them pretty simple right here. Pick sequence order. So it's going to be pick 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Quality, JPEG 100% is fine. Then resolution 300 for printing reasons. No watermark, that's fine. And then post-processing will show up in the folder when it's done. Export. There you go. That's it. All right, while these are exporting, let's get out of here. All right, there we go. So we are done with these graduation pics. As you can see, we were able to quickly and efficiently edit these images. They came out great. And one thing to keep in mind is shoot in camera as best as you can so that when you come to your editing and post-processing, it makes the process a lot smoother, a lot faster. You're not there trying to fix things all the time. If you can shoot it right, your editing is a lot faster. If you like this kind of content, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.